back for the fun part, paint prep. Hey, welcome back. Today we are paint prepping with the Dell. And I know, contain your excitement, paint prep, yay, but it's a very important part. You're never going to get a good paint job unless you paint prep right. So what that's going to entail today is we're fixing a small dent on the back side of the case. We're going to put some filler in it. Then we're going to etch prime the case and the door, just the metal parts. I want to make sure the sealer I'm using doesn't require primer underneath it. It's a base coat itself, but I want to make sure that all the scratches and nicks are taken care of and I have a nice flat surface so that nothing comes through. The paint layers I'm putting down are going to be pretty thin, and this is not going to be the normal automotive paint that will flow out and fill in some spots here and there. So I want to make sure that surface is as perfect as I can get it, and I also want something over the edge of that filler to kind of help feather it out better. And then we'll be working on our front panel. Now what we're doing with it is pulling it out of the case. Obviously we can't use it where it's at, but there's also a sticker on it that's got to come off and a paint badge, like the nameplate. And we're going to figure out how to get that paint off of it without destroying it, because I don't want to buy another one of these. One's enough, but we'll do that. I think what I'm using is Autoborn Silver Sealer as our base. And like I say, it can go over galvanized metals without primer, but we're still going to use primer on the metal. But I believe it can go over plastic without primer and also without sanding. I'm going to look into that, but at most that might get like a 600 or 800 grit scratch to it. But I think we get it cleaned up and we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now first off, I'm going to take some 320 grit and I just want to make sure I've got the right spot. So if I sand on this a little bit, it ought to flatten everything out except for our dent, which is right there. There's a primer spot right there. There is still some primer on this. That's why the whole case will get sanded again to make sure I get it off. But I do want to fill that little spot in. So I'm going to try to get some scratch in there. We'll throw some filler in it and flatten it all out. That ought to be good. I need a towel. Get some of this dust off. Make sure we're nice and clean. And what I'm using is a 3M filler. I've got Bondo, and Bondo works, but I've got this stuff. It's nicer. And I need to use it up before it gets bad. So we're just going to take a little bit, dab it in there, let it cure up, then we'll sand it out. What I'm doing now is trying to get the air out of anything that I'm going to use so I don't wind up with bubbles in it, or air pockets or pinholes. Also a little bit more mixing up, so that ought to be good. Won't take much for this tiny little hole. Simple. I know it seems like a small thing to fix, but it's the small things that count. That one little spot would draw your eye away from everything else on the side of this panel just because the light hit it funny. All right, we're going to set that off to the side for a minute, and now we're going to work on getting this front panel off. Now, what I want to do, my goal, is to leave the front panel connected, or the I/O connected when I pull this off. That way, I've still got all the wiring run back to the motherboard where it's supposed to be. So if I have any questions with moving the other wires over to a new standardized layout, I can look back here and kind of figure out where things go. So that's the goal. We're going to see how that works. I wish I remembered how all this worked. I believe we can get a lot of it off just by popping these clips. Is that going to be enough? Yes, maybe. Come on, baby. Work with me. Something is holding me. Nope, I lied. Nothing was holding me. Wow, that was 1,000 times simpler than I thought it was going to be. we'll put the door back on, set this to the side. We are done with this for a while. Like I say, I may have to go back, figure out where all the buttons and stuff, what colors they are, because proprietary stuff, just a pain in the butt to deal with. But we're done with this for a minute. And now we can get into taking this panel apart. Front bay covers, pretty simple. Come on. And we can paint those and match them, and that way I don't have to go through the process of filling this in. I don't know if you can tell, this plastic is clear. Now there's a light bar kind of thing right here where there's some LEDs that will shine through these. Will let you know your hard drive activity and all that. That's going to be painted over, and you know, life goes on. I'm not concerned about that, so, but we do need to get this off, and I believe it's just a couple of clips. If I only remembered how this came out. I do think, though, that goes over. There we go. Easy peasy. So there we go. This is sort of ready. We need to figure out how to get that off. I want to try to get this paint off as well. And then we'll get the sticker off. The sticker should be pretty simple. We'll take some alcohol to get the adhesive off if there's some left, which there's going to be, it looks like. Come on. Come off there. Oh, nice. Everybody likes peeling the new static cling film off of things, and they're like, oh, this is the great ASMR or whatever. This is the stuff you should enjoy. A sticker coming off with all of its adhesive. Like, that almost never happens. Like, that's amazing. That is joy right there. I don't have a fucking square inch of adhesive stuck to this that I have to figure out how to get off without tearing anything up. Screw static cling, man. Pulling those things off, that's the key. That's satisfaction in life. Now we're going to take some alcohol, see if that will take this off and these without damaging the plastic. Should. We're going to be hopeful. I was hoping that would take that paint off. I don't think it's going to. Alcohol obviously is not working on that paint. I didn't really expect it to. I was hopeful. But we'll try a little bit of acetone real gently on it and see if we can get that to start wearing off. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to use. Acetone, you do have to be careful because it does melt plastic. So definitely don't want to go crazy with it. And want to make sure that you're not letting it soak. And let's see. Talk about, well, takes paint off. What I'm going to do is take a little bit at a time, just so that stuff has a chance to air out and we're not leaving a bunch of acetone on there for minutes at a time. Do a little bit, let it sit. You can really feel the stuff getting soft under the acetone. God, that's scary. Okay. Well, this is working way better than I thought it was going to. Barely till it was there. A little bit of a thing left. I don't know that I'm that worried about it. We'll go ahead and get our deals up here off as well. Oh wow, that I don't know. Okay, one final rub to get the excess paint off that moved. Oh, you can already start feeling that stuff get soft. So acetone is one of those things where, like, in certain circumstances, it's amazing. I do a lot of fiberglass work. That's my job. So, like tubs and stuff that are made out of gel coat or fiberglass, you just pour acetone on them to clean them. They don't care. They don't react to it at all. It's a great cleaner. It evaporates quick. It cleans off everything. But if that stuff would happen to get down the drain of a tub, it would melt the drain out. Like, just like melt it into little pieces. So it's definitely a vicious, vicious chemical that you've got to be careful with, especially around plastics. So there you go. Paint's all gone. There's a little bit of a shadow of it. I don't know if that's just it soaking into the, a little bit of it soaking into the paint or the plastic or something else. But feel-wise, there's nothing left there. So I think we're good. Now, you always want to be careful using acetone on this stuff because it does melt plastic into puddles. Definitely something that's possible, so always be careful. But it worked for this purpose, going with a real light usage. But yeah, this a little bit of cleanup, maybe wash it, should be about ready for the next step. And now that that's done, our filler has had time to cure, so we're going to sand it out. What I'm going to do is use a block of acrylic that I've made. I've seen people use these before. They're just super flat, so if you want to make sure you have a flat surface, it's hard to beat this. And this is just cast acrylic. That's I think that's 3/8 inch cut down. And we'll use it as a sanding block and flatten this thing out. And the nice thing about this filler is it's going to sand faster than that metal is, so it should sand down pretty quick. Barely tell it's there anymore. I've got a little bit of filler on the side here that we'll take care of. So on this corner, just nice and easy on it. So make sure I get anything that I don't need gone. All right. Now I'm going to go over the rest of the case with 320. This is basically to clean up the surface, get any small scratches or stuff out of it. There's some spots where there's still some primer left over. We're going to take all those off. I'm going to use just a foam block. I don't need anything real crazy because I'm not going to affect this metal. I will be staying away from this area because I don't want to change what it is too much, but that's what we're going to do. You can see how that's shining the surface up, and the spots where there's still some primer, they're kind of dark, so it makes them real easy to find. But this is going to take a while, so you're going to go really fast, and I'm going to listen to music. All right, that's everything sanded. I did scuff up the inside of the case. I'm going to go ahead and prime and seal that just to give it a finished look. The door as well, the backside had been sandblasted to match the interior of the case, but in the process of stripping it, it got messed up. Tried sandblasting it again, but it just didn't look right. So I'll prime it and seal it with that silver just because that'll look better than what it was going to look like with the sandblasted finish. So now it's time to tack these up and put some primer down. Well, that's it for this video. Everything's under primer. It all turned out pretty well. I'll get around to sanding that down, making sure it's nice and flat. And then next video, we should be putting down our sealer and our candy and getting it under clear. So until then, take care of yourself and get out there and mod something.